everybody, and welcome to the Aggieville Alleycats podcast, where come rain, shine, or anything in between, we're going to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news you so love. I'm Ace Edwards, right alongside
Connor Baltazar.
And welcome to this week's edition of the Weekly Recap, where it's not quite as full as the previous week, but we do have some stuff to cover, including basketball media days for the upcoming basketball scrimmage, the volleycats and the soccer cats, though the soccer cats are going to make up the bulk of this episode. We're going to go ahead and just start with basketball because we haven't done our basketball preview yet. We'll probably do that next week. But, I mean, it really did just arrive much sooner than it felt like it should have to me. I for some reason, I think I'm still stuck in it being mid-September. And I think that soccer has another month when it has 2 weeks. And basketball is like a month away.
Yeah, like we always talk about how the sports calendar gets really busy in like mid to late February, early March. So I think that makes us forget that it also gets really busy around this time of year as well. But no, you're totally right in that every year, like the exhibition season for basketball, like that always like comes out of nowhere. Like it just kind of starts. And so it's kind of weird to like have that like starting now because it does still feel heavily like football season, but men's basketball starts super early. I would prefer like ideally if it was like a January start and like went like a little later instead, but March Madness is like singularly like a big enough like brand to like make it not worth moving out of March, regrettably. So that's probably never going to happen, but what are you going to do?
You know, that's certainly never going to happen, but I am personally just extremely excited for the season, and maybe this is me making a horrible mistake given the results of the 2 previous years, but I really think that this roster alone, just based on talent and depth, is more than capable of, unless the coaching is actively getting in the way. Now, like it's one thing to have coaching just kind of not be there and everyone's playing on vibes. This is a team that I think if they went out and played on vibes, they could still probably sneak their way into the tournament somehow. But I also think that there's been net improvements in the basketball coaching staff. And this isn't a preview, so we're not going to go through everyone. It's more or less just a vibe check. And, I mean, Jerome Tang came out and gave superlatives for 3 players, one of which was PJ Haggerty is the best point guard in the country. Never heard that one before.
Yeah.
The second was Moby Kageruka being the best athlete in the country, and I'm forgetting what the third was.
The third was Abdi Bashir as the best 3-point shooter in the country. And
okay.
It's, you know, PJ Haggerty is like a multiple-time All-American point guard. Like, I think calling him the best point guard in the country, like from like a more like objective, unbiased point of view is a stretch, but it's not like a horrible, outlandish thing to say because he's almost certainly like a unanimous like top 10 point guard in the country.
Yeah. Like
because he's a multiple time All-American. So like that pretty much shoehorns you in as a top 10 point guard nationally.
Yeah.
Abdi Bashir like averaged like 21 points per game last year. And was a great 3-point shooter. I think the best is a stretch, but he shot like 38% on a high volume. So I can see why he would say that. I wouldn't have because he said it before, but that's like not the most outlandish thing he said because like, you know, Moby being the best athlete in the country is just like kind of a crazy thing to say that I can't even justify. Like the Haggerty, like I can easily justify that. Bashir is like a stretch that I don't think you can justify, but it's not like
egregious.
Yeah, it's not egregious. Like he was a really great shooter, last year, and I think he will be a great shooter for us this year. But like Moby, best athlete in the country, is just crazy. And I think Moby is a great athlete for what it's worth. I think Moby is a really great athlete. I just don't think he's the greatest athlete in the country. That's a crazy thing to say. But I think a lot of people got really bothered by that stuff. And I kind of get it, I guess, because of like how things in the past have gone. But I try not to get too worked up by Jerome Tang saying that stuff anymore, because it's at media days, but it's really not for the media. It's for the guys sitting next to him to like see that like he publicly supports them.
Yeah.
So, and I know that that's not a satisfying answer, and like the knee-jerk reaction to that is, well, it's still a stupid thing to say, and you're right, but
I don't disagree with you, but yeah,
that regardless, I'm just shifting my mindset on it. And if that's the coach he wants to be, and like he wants to uplift his guys publicly, sure, and he's willing to deal with the ramifications of that, that's fine.
I don't really have anything else to say about media days, just because, I mean, it's media days. You're not going to glean too much.
Yeah, they don't say anything really crazy ever at media days. The only no, there's really nothing that interesting that comes out of that. The women's side, this wasn't even at media days. This was at like Jeff Mitty's like regular media availability. Like I don't think we talked about it on here, but Kennedy Taylor's waiver got denied, and like he was obviously upset about it, and I don't blame him, because that's, even though by letter of the law that's like the correct decision, that hasn't been the norm the last several years. And so I understand why he's upset about it. And I also get, like in context, like the year they're appealing is Kennedy playing 18 minutes in 8 games at Colorado, a school that she left like immediately. So like, I get it. I'm not wholly opposed to the NCAA like wanting to enforce eligibility, but I totally understand why it's frustrating for coaches, because now we're swinging back the other way, and there's not a whole lot of guidance going out on stuff like that, especially because Kennedy's like petition for an extra year of eligibility way less egregious than Tyreek Smith's. Like that was just like a crazy attempt. Like he played half a season like as a starter and was like, I don't really want to do that anymore. Give me another year. And the NCAA said no. And he was shocked somehow. But what are you going to do?
Yeah, no one really should have been surprised by that at all. No. But
and one more thing I'll add on this is I think Jeff Mitty should be even more upset now that, I understand this is for men's basketball, not women's, that they're letting G League players that don't get to the NBA come to college basketball, or come back to college basketball. Like, I do think that's just like insanity.
That's stupid.
Like, I understand the comparison between G League and international. Like, I get like people saying that they're not that different, but honestly, to me, they do feel kind of different. I can't really lay out factually right now, because I did no preparation for this, like what the difference is, but they do just feel totally different to me. Like, again, I can't really go much deeper than that, but an international player coming over from like in our case, Serbia or Italy or Germany, like feels different than a guy that like played for like the G League team in Maine, or for like the Iowa G League team. Like, it feels totally different to me. Like, I don't know what it is, but I think it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I don't have a retort for that. The only thing that, like, the only way I can articulate that it feels different is that with a lot of European basketball, it's a lot of EU sort of under 18, under 21 teams where it's not necessarily professional, and they play it's similar to college baseball, where college baseball they have their summer leagues where you know Andrew Evans played in, I think, the Cape Cod League and was good, and then never appeared for K-State ever again. But he's catching a stray for absolutely no reason. But that's how I sort of justify it, is the main source for international, specifically European players, is under 18, under 21 tournaments. And I just sort of liken the quote-unquote professional leagues to those Cape Cod summer college baseball leagues. That's the best way I can articulate why it feels different to me.
Yeah, that's a fair argument. Yeah. Like, I think it would be useful for the NCAA to get A, more consistent, and B, more out in front on the messaging before things happen, because they kind of have gotten to a bad habit of just dropping rule changes with like zero warning. Kind of like, I mean, that started with NIL. Like, NIL just kind of happened. People forget that like in 21 or 22 or whenever it was, the NCAA said, fine, we give up, have money. And like 2 days later, it was like a deal. So like they either need to like just allow like anybody to come play college basketball and like just ruin the game, or the alternative is, I think, like age limits, or like just outlaw like anyone that's played in a professional league, like, which would include international players, like, which, like, given the choice between like letting anyone play and like banning like international and domestic pro players, I would take the latter. But shoot, man, I don't know. This is the total side tangent, but like it just kind of popped in my head because we're talking about Kennedy getting denied her waiver for 18 minutes of basketball, inconsequential basketball as a freshman. And then like 2 weeks later, the NCAA is like, hey, these like G League bums can come dominate like the ACC if they want. So it's like, who is that good for? Like, it's not really. It's good for like that one team and no one else. It's bad for the players on that team. It's bad for that player probably. Like, and it's especially bad for high school recruits who kind of get the short end of the stick on pretty much every NCAA decision nowadays anyways. But man, I don't know. I just, like, I saw that and I like thought it was like a NBA Centel tweet the first time I saw it. Like I was like completely taken aback by that.
Or was flabbergasted.
You could say.
But yeah, we'll do our basketball preview next week. Probably, I don't know, we may do one mega episode that's like an hour 15, hour 20, or we may separate, who's to say. But now we can talk about the Volleycats first off, who are in the midst of, well, I say a losing streak. They've lost 2 in a row, but both up against ranked teams away from Morgan Family Arena. K-State ends up losing to TCU, who was 15-3 on the year, and they end up losing 3-1. But all of those sets, except for the last one, were extremely close. TCU took sets 1, 2, and 4, 26-24, 25-23, then 25-17. And then the weird one was set 3, where they went back and forth to get to the point where K-State won the set 34-32. So this was one of those matchups where K-State goes into a top 15, number 11 in the country environment, and is so just frustratingly and tantalizingly close to walking away victorious. But, I mean, it just, looking at the stats, they just couldn't get out of their own way for the vast majority of it. They only hit 134 on the day, and they never had a set where they hit higher than 0.15 in. And that's not how you win. If anything, it's a minor miracle that it was as close as it was given those hitting percentages.
Yeah, this was yet another very frustrating match from K-State in a long series of frustrating matches that really goes throughout the whole season, because K-State has been so good at hanging around, keeping things close, and even extending leads at points against these high-quality conference opponents, but they just are the complete and total opposite of clutch. With the exception of the third set, which was like the most clutch set that they have played in years. Like that was like the toughest win that like I've seen them have in a very long time. And it's the toughest situation I've seen them be in a very long time. And they came out on top, which is crazy because most of the year they have not handled adversity very well in these late set situations. I mean, set one, they led 23-21, and set two, they led, I think, 23-22 at one point. So both of those sets, they were close to winning. In fact, set one, they led 24-23 at one point. So they were 1 point away, and they gave up 3 straight TCU points. So K-State really good at putting themselves in a position to win, and equally as good at giving it away once they get to that position, which is just so frustrating because this team still somehow, despite all the mounting losses, I think they may still make the NCAA tournament because their RPI, at least right now, is decent. They're like 44 right now. North Carolina doing some heavy lifting. North Carolina is 15-2 and in the 30s in RPI. So that's a massive, massive win that's helping K-State right now. But there's still some huge opportunities left for K-State. And it's helpful that they're playing most of these teams close, but they have to get some W's against teams with the pulse. Like, they've done a great job of just beating the crap out of teams that are worse than them. Like the Texas Tech match was just not even close and was genuinely a little embarrassing to watch. But they have to win some big matches. They have to get a big upset at some point.
Yeah. And they get 2 opportunities to do so in between now and the next episode. First of which being up against KU in Allen Fieldhouse the day that this releases at 8 p.m. Then they go to Utah to play Utah and BYU. BYU is still thought of pretty highly, so that would be a pretty solid win for them. They still have a month left in the season at this point, so they still could fluctuate anywhere up or down. The best thing is you have to hope that this team peaks late if they want to make the NCAA tournament, which granted, they kind of have a tendency to do, but yeah, it's getting to the point, and granted, playing up against 2 ranked schools away from home, the one that's really disheartening is the Iowa State loss. Like that one hurts. If we won that game, I feel like we would be feeling a lot differently about where we are right now. It's just having lost that game and then losing a few more makes it feel a lot worse than it might actually be.
Yeah, flipping that match, maybe Arizona as well, that makes everything different, I think. Or at the very least, it really helps. But yeah, like you were saying, good RPI teams coming up. KU, they're 24th in RPI. Utah, actually a little lower than K-State. They're 53rd, so not far off, but they are lower. Then BYU is the highest of that group. They're 18th in RPI right now. And like you said, they're a well thought of program consistently anyways. But I also do think it's kind of interesting that we're playing KU and Allen because they do have a volleyball specific arena facility that we've played them in before. But for some reason, this time we're facing them in Allen, which is fine, I guess. As long as we win, I don't care where it happens. But I just thought that was interesting. I guess it could be related to that game actually being on ESPNU as opposed to ESPN Plus. So maybe because it's a linear-ish broadcast, ESPNU kind of counts as like not a streaming network, but it could be something related to that. Or maybe they just like want to pack the house against their rival. I'm not really sure, but it could be anything. Maybe they're like practicing like students like filling the ends of the arena before basketball. It could literally be anything. I guess the more I'm saying, the more I realize I don't really care. But
Allen Devil Magic is what they want.
Well, yeah. It would be funny, though, if the volleyball team gets a win in Allen before the men's basketball team, I should say, is able to, like in recent years, that is.
Yeah, that would be very funny. But that wraps up the volleycats. Now we have a little bit, and I say a little bit, we have 3 matches to cover for the soccer cats, the first of which being a dub 2-0 up against Cincinnati. And both of those goals came in the second period. The first by Jace Woodard in the 51st minute, and then Andrew Muller in the 69th minute. And this is another one where it was a pretty dominant victory for K-State, which, God, that feels so nice to say after so many years. Cincinnati had 6 total shots. None of them were on goal. K-State had 17, 9 on goal. And since they only had 1 corner, and it just feels nice to dominate someone.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think one of the most notable things about this whole game, probably the most notable takeaway, is the first half was fairly even in terms of play. The second half, Cincinnati did not attempt a single shot. I was watching, and at the very, very, very end of the second half, they sort of got a shot off, but it was so weak that I guess they just didn't even count it. And K-State thoroughly dominated. K-State's defense has been its strength and its calling card all year. And honestly, like really keying in on watching K-State's defense has helped me appreciate the art of defense and soccer even more as a whole. And like, it's always been something that you're aware of, but it's like any sport, scoring is where the fun is. But like when it's a team you care about and they're great at defense, that's a super fun thing to watch as well. It's fun to watch like defenders like put their body on the line to block a shot from getting to goal, or pickpocketing like an offensive player making a great tackle out in open space. Like it's really great. Great defense is really fun to watch when you know what you're looking for. So, and the second half of this game against Cincinnati is a perfect example. I mean, 0 shots and a half against a conference opponent like that. That's incredible.
Yeah. I don't care that Cincinnati's bad. That doesn't matter to me right now.
Completely irrelevant. Do not care. Also, their conference record isn't too far off of ours. For what it's worth. I mean, their overall record is much worse. But no, their conference record is actually kind of similar to us. But granted, that's not updated with the most recent results. But never mind, it just did. Okay, that was really timely. But
yeah, someone was listening.
Brett Yormark sitting here manually updating soccer standings. He's earning that paycheck.
Yeah. It's good to win, and then of course the next game, K-State wasn't as lucky going up against West Virginia, though they were keeping it closer than we're certainly used to up against West Virginia. West Virginia ends up winning 3-2. both score in the first period. The difference is West Virginia scoring in the second pretty rapidly. And Rylan Rintoul scored in the 30th minute in the first, and then 3 straight West Virginia goals, one by Kaylin Effa in the 44th minute, and then 82nd and 84th minute, each of which had goals by West Virginia. So a lot of rapid scoring before K-State with McKenna Braswell ends up putting the bow on the scoring in the 86th minute. And this is one where, I mean, the difference is that they shot pretty similarly. West Virginia had 10, 3 on goal. K-State had 14 with 5 on goal. West Virginia had 8 corners, 1 offsides, and penalties were, weirdly enough, for not something we're used to in the Colleen Corbin era, is 9 fouls compared to K-State 6. We're used to out-fouling teams by a significant margin. But this is a good sort of progress barometer. Yes, we lost, but we said it the entire season. We looked conscious, and that's the bar right now.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think, a really good indicator of where K-State soccer is headed, because a few years ago, K-State managed a draw against West Virginia at home, but that was very much a we escaped with our lives scenario. This game, while a loss against West Virginia, the first 60 minutes were thoroughly dominated by K-State, and West Virginia really took control for about 15 minutes of this match, and that was enough. And I think them winning this match is the difference from them being a storied program versus us not having that history and tradition, kind of strong foundation to fall back on, because we outshot them, not by a ton, but we did. And we got 2 goals out of our 5 attempts on goal, which has been a weak point for K-State all years. We haven't been great at finishing our shots when we're on goal. West Virginia, they only had 3 attempts on goal this whole match, and they converted all of them. I think that's where you're seeing the difference in stature for the programs, where we're at a point where talent-wise, and even maybe coaching-wise, there's not as much separating those 2 programs as there used to be, not even close. But the difference is in kind of a program foundation and those kind of gritty moments. We're not really used to being in those situations at all. And I don't think we're used to having much confidence in those situations the few times we're in them. Whereas West Virginia, they're getting people's best shot a lot, so they convert when they need to. And so I think while, a painful loss because you leave points on the table when you're at, this point in the year thinking maybe we have a shot at making the Big 12 tournament, it's a great learning experience and the sort of match that, I think maybe a couple of years from now, I think K-State wins. And so I'm trying to think long-term with these, although I was still really disappointed that we lost because it did feel like we should have had this one. But I've been saying that more this year than I've been saying in the entire history of the program, I think, where it's been, we lost and we should have been able to get a draw out of this one, or we drew and we should have been able to win this one, as opposed to, man, I'm so happy we drew because we deserve to lose. It's a total difference. It's a night and day thing where it doesn't feel like escaping. It feels like leaving something on the table. And that's a big mindset shift, I think, for a program that's used to losing. And it's really not an immediate switch flip, but it shows that this program, I think, has taken more steps in this year than we thought possible. So again, still a loss, still sucks, but a quality performance.
Yeah. And then the next match was a 0-0 draw up against a decent Houston team. They went into this 2-3-3 on the year in conference and 7-3-5. And this one, this is the definition of, damn, we really should have won that. 20 shots, 12 on goal, compared to Houston's 8 shots, only 3 on goal.
The difference is ours just weren't hitting the back of the net. And wow. I mean, at that point, you just kind of have to commend the goalie for 12 saves.
Oh, yeah, their goalkeeper genuinely did play pretty great, especially I was only able to watch the second half, but she had some big-time saves in the second half. And, yeah, I think you're right. Like, this is one where you look at it, and it shows up both in the box score and on the field. It's like, man, I think we should have won this one. This was one that both teams very, very badly needed because 8 teams in the Big 12 get to go to the Big 12 tournament. West Virginia is number 1 in the conference right now, followed very closely by Texas Tech. And then the cutoff right now is BYU. They have 11 points. For reference, you get 0 points for a loss, 1 point for a draw, 3 points for a victory. K-State is now in 10th. Houston is in 9th. They have 10 points. So K-State, they have 9 points right now in the year. So this was a match both K-State and Houston very, very badly wanted to win, because a win for either K-State or Houston would have thrust them into the field if the season ended today. But instead, they're both still on the outside looking in, close, and with a win could still get in, because I think BYU lost to KU tonight. But this is very much a game that if we don't make the Big 12 tournament, which is going to be very tough to do, given that we have to go on the road to Texas Tech, who has been great this year, this is one that we're going to look back on and be like, man, if we had just converted one of our great attempts, or one of our great opportunities, then we may be singing a different song.
Yeah. And there still is an opportunity for K-State to win. They have to draw up against Texas Tech, and they would have to beat Iowa State in the last game of the season. And I think that's the only way. And I still think that BYU and Houston would probably both have to lose. Houston would probably have to lose and then draw. But the point being is that there is a chance for K-State to participate in the Big 12 tournament for the first time, we'll say legitimately ever, because 2020 does not count. It should not count.
Yeah, that was kind of a Mickey Mouse appearance in the postseason. Cool that it happened, but it's still a bit of a Mickey Mouse appearance there. But regardless, looking at some of these schools, Houston, they actually have a very tough finish to the year. They get Baylor home next. Baylor is sitting at 4th in the conference right now. They're a top 10 RPI team. They're number 4, actually, in RPI. And then they get TCU on the road. TCU is number 3 in RPI. So Houston has a absolute shredder to end the year. That's going to be tough. We also have to worry about the teams behind us. Arizona State, they're sitting with 8 points right now. They have a game ongoing with Utah as we're talking. Utah, they have 8 points as well. So best result for K-State right there is a draw between Arizona State and Utah, because if one of those teams wins, they're going from 8 points to 11, and that makes life more frustrating for K-State. So a lot of moving parts around there. Obviously, just win 2 matches, and that makes things a lot easier for you. But Texas Tech is a phenomenal soccer team. They're 12-1-2 this season. They have not lost at home all year. It's that's going to be a major challenge for K-State. Fingers crossed that they can come away with a win. But I mean, I hope that come that Iowa State game, we're in a position to where it matters. We're getting into the postseason, because that game is winnable.
Yeah,
It is an absolutely winnable matchup.
Yeah. I think I already said it, but like Iowa State is second to last in the conference. They're 1-7-1 in conference play, 4-8-3 overall. Only team lower than them in the standings is Oklahoma State. So if push comes to shove, we better win that game. So we'll see. But yeah, it's gonna come down to the wire, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully so. So just exciting times. Basketball season starting up. Women's soccer for the first time in history is conscious and actually fighting for a legitimate Big 12 title berth, or not Big 12 title game, but in the Big 12 tournament. Volleycats are volatile, but have been known to peak late. Both the Catsketball teams are right on the horizon. I led with the men's team, but women's is just around the corner as well. Women's team has a very, very exciting young roster, whereas the men's team has a lot of transfers. So at the very least, we're in for an interesting couple of months. Whether it's interesting good or interesting bad is yet to be seen, but it gives us a lot to cover. And, K-State sports is one of my favorite things in the world to talk about. So we're eating good.
Yeah. For what it's worth, soccer score update, Texas Tech, they are right now about 9 minutes away from losing their first conference game of the year. They're down 3-0 at Colorado. That's a team K-State drew with earlier in the conference slate. So showing signs of mortality right now is Colorado, or is Texas Tech, I should say. But then Arizona State and Utah. Arizona State leads that one 1-0. There are about 3.5 minutes left in that one. So it's looking like, pending some heroics, which would please Utah, it's looking like Arizona State is going to vault over K-State and Houston and end up in a tie with BYU in the standings.
Yeah. So a week left. It all comes down to this. Do you have any final notes?
There was a K-State men's golfer that hit a hole-in-one. I saw on Instagram earlier today. Finn Dobbin. I couldn't do that, so that's pretty cool. So.
Congrats on the hole-in-one. We did our... Never mind. No one will ever see it. Just know that we did a thing that we always do. But with all that being said, thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. If you want to follow or contact the show, you can follow us just about anywhere at Aggieville Alleycats. And if you want to email us, we're AggievilleAlleycats@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on a more personal note, I'm at ACEdward00.
I am at Connor Balsor, capital C, capital B.
And if you want to support the show financially, please be sure to check out the official Aggieville Alleycats merch store. Link found in our podcast and Twitter bio. But most importantly, thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. For come rain, shine, or anything in between, we're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news that you so love. Stay safe, Alleycats.